Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Talking Books and Writing and Stuff, our latest edition here, and our guest is from down south in southern Saskatchewan, the Regina area. We have Marlis Wesseler. So, Marlis, after your swim and shower, thank you for being with us this evening here.
Well, thank you for having me on. Well, having me on, that doesn't sound right.
Oh well, nothing. It's the new electronic age, and there are no rules anymore. So apparently, yeah. Marlis Wesseler is here. It's the latest book from her is the Beech Forest, but this is not your first book. So you've had five books, two short stories, and three fictions out before this.
Yes. Um, uh, I've I'm over 70, so I've had a long career.
Yeah, carry on.
Uh, I think actually that this book, The Beech Forest, is my best.
Well, that's the thing with writing. Unless you're one of those who hits a jackpot right out of the chute, as it were, like To Kill a Mockingbird, and that was about it for that person, wasn't it?
That's, yes.
A couple others. You get better as you go along because you learn stuff.
Well, I hope so.
Yep. Well, talking with Marlis Wesseler, The Beech Forest, I want to go to the opening line. On one of the last nights of the visit, Lisa Braun dreams she is Jewish. So why and how did you come up with a line like that?
Well, the whole novel is about German guilt over the Holocaust, and or at least part of the novel is. And my character has been married to a German, right from Germany, whom she met traveling when she was young. And so they've been married. It's set in about 2006. I couldn't set it any later or in the present time because she does meet and become friends with a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust, and all the survivors by now are 100 years old. So
right, unless you were a child, and that's about it.
Yes, yeah. Unless you were very, very, yes. So I set it when both my character Lisa and her husband Gerhard are in their 50s.
Gotcha.
And the survivor of Buchenwald is in his 80s at the time.
So like you say, he probably couldn't have lasted much longer, even optimistically speaking. So
no. But the first line, in that chapter, she and Gerhard are visiting his parents in Germany.
Gotcha. And Braun is the last name. So Braun, does that mean brown?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a common name. It's a common name in Germany, I guess, eh?
Yes, yes, it is.
So looking back on it, Marlis, did you have an inspiration, an aha moment, like, aha, what if I did this? Is that how it came about? Or did you have other sort of thoughts and inspirations before writing the book?
Well, I myself was married to a German for 40 odd years. Odd being the operative word sometimes. But anyway, we had discussed the Holocaust a few times, few and far between, but it's something that I think I was always aware of, especially when we went to visit Germany. And I was interested uh, in how such a horror could have happened when all the people I knew were just like ordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
Germans were as ordinary as far as I could see as anyone else, and so it's kind of a wondering about the nature of evil and how something like the prison camps could have gone on,
come about.
And
well, I've been
come about.
Right. I've been watching lots of documentaries about the rise and fall of Hitler and reading, the rise and fall of the Third Reich. I've been reading that off and on for 8 years, I think.
Oh, yes.
And it's,
yes.
It's like one person seems to get into the minds and under the skins of lots of people for whatever reason. And the things that went on, it's just like, well, that's what the leader wants, and so that's what we're going to do. And they just went ahead and did it. So I don't know what ordinary people, but the one in his Hitler's leadership group were gung-ho about getting rid of all the Jews and all the other sort of minorities or people they didn't like. And then you look down south and all of those echoes seem to reverberate again. It's like the Orange Carbuncle took everything right out of Hitler's. It's either Hitler's playbook or Gangster John Gotti's playbook. You just deny, and deflect and accuse, and every problem seems.
I think the Holocaust is topical nowadays because the far right is making inroads in not only in North America but in Europe.
Well, yeah,
and all over.
The Hungarian leader seems to be like that, and Putin and all those types. That's crazy. I know. So, on a lighter note, are you the master of tongue-in-cheek observation?
Well, I like to think that humor doesn't lighten things. It, I'm not sure how to put it, but it adds something.
Gotcha. Yep.
To whatever I'm trying to say, and so yes, I mean I can't say I'm a master of tongue in cheek, but there is certainly humor in this novel, in spite of the.
Yep. Well, when you look at the overall human condition, what else can you do but laugh? Cause
that's about it.
You're here and then you're gone and then that's it. So what? Who came up with this silly idea?
Yeah, exactly.
At least that's the way I look at it. So Marlis Wesseler is our guest. Let's go back. Your early influences. You were born in Canistano. Where did you grow up, and when did you first start reading? And triple barrel question. And what kind of authors were your earlier influences?
Oh my goodness. Well, I grew up on a farm outside of Canistano, Saskatchewan. It's a town between Melfort and Prince Albert. And my mother loved to read, and I loved to read right from the time I learned when I was 6. I used to love having summer holidays because I could go to the library and get as many books out as I want. I could get one book after the other and read all summer.
When you weren't baling hay and shoveling grain and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, see, I was a pretty lazy kid, and
that's good.
Yeah, I wasn't baling any hay. But yes, I loved all those early books by Charlotte's Web was my favorite when I was about in grade 2, And it's about a little farm girl and her pig, of course.
Ah, yes.
But that was one of my favorites. I remember the very first book I ever got out of the library. I was 6 years old and got my own library card, and Canistino did have a library. And it was called Danny the Dinosaur by Sid Hoff. And I actually found it on the internet.
And it's still out there somewhere.
It's still out there somewhere, yeah.
Danny the Dinosaur. You can trace your success back to Danny the Dinosaur. We should start.
Well, that wasn't really an early influence, but
Close enough. So,
but it's funny what you can recall, something that was so important to me, that it was the first book I got out of the library, and I still remember it.
That's right.
60-odd years later.
Yes. So, why do you write? Like, what joy do you get out of it? There has to be a reason why you write.
I'm not an articulate storyteller verbally, but I like to tell stories. Partly because I love to read, and so writing is the my outlet, I guess. Partly it's self-expression. It's also a means of creating something, which I think everyone finds important.
Yep. Well, when you create something, if it's long-lasting, it's different than when you create a cake or an artistic piece of food or something like that. That can be gobbled down in instances, but the joy is in the creating of it, I assume. I don't bake anything, so I don't know. But writing and sculptures, things like that, it's something that you can leave behind that proves, hey, I was here and this is what I did, and I hope you remember me.
And I suppose that's part of it.
Yeah. So,
but it's only a small part. I think that just the act of writing is really deeply satisfying.
And to publish it is very courageous, because then you've got something and you put it out there and go, okay, people, what do you think?
Yes, exactly. But publishing is also hard it's hard to get published, and I'm very grateful to Thistledown Books for publishing this book.
Well, you were with Koto, I can't pronounce it, for a long time.
Oh, Koto Books.
Yes.
I've published with them, I think, 3 times.
Yeah. And they aren't with us anymore, so...
No.
I think that was a big blow for Saskatchewan publishing.
Yes, it certainly was.
Yeah. So back to the book, the Beech Forest. I've got a line here: spring is still a mild suggestion in the frozen March air. And that's about it, right? When you're in this part of the world, March, yeah, okay, spring is supposed to be here, but certainly doesn't feel like it at times.
No, it never does in Saskatchewan. But you still, because it's March, you still have the hope.
Exactly. And I read something, I think it was the other day, I don't know if it was Jean Le Carré who said it or not, but do you find this? The characters at times muscle into the story and sit there waiting to appear. Does that make sense?
Well, in a way, I think that's true. But I had there was a character in this novel that I thought was so important he had to remain. but I couldn't make him work. It was originally, my original idea was that my main character, Lisa, would have an affair with somebody who was Jewish. And then also meet the Holocaust survivor. But in the end, I could not make the affair work.
So.
But I was so sure that he was so important, and I could just picture him. I don't know why I couldn't make it work, but I couldn't. And so I had to I had to cut him out, which I found pretty traumatizing at the time. But then once he was gone, it became a better story. And in fact, I think then it became more of a simple story, well told.
It is.
And the focus then was on the survivor of Buchenwald and his story.
Gotcha.
So yes, now it's a better novel.
Well, I've heard that too. Is that sometimes you have to kill your darlings? So
yeah, exactly. Who said that?
I think it was Stephen King, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but you got to take that blue pencil or whatever and go, I love writing this line or this paragraph or this character, but nope, doesn't fit the story. Too bad, you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have a daily routine, Marlis, for your writing?
When I'm writing, I don't sleep in very late, but I'm not an early riser either. But I get writing probably about 9 or 9:30, and I'll sit at the computer till lunch, and then if I've been on a roll, I'll continue on. Otherwise, I leave the afternoons for gardening or whatever.
Right, other stuff. But is it? I'm assuming it's important that you do this at least, maybe not every day, but on a regular basis. Then.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah. So what are you working on now? Can you tell us?
Oh well, I seem to have a preoccupation the last couple of books with the nature of evil. My last book, The Last Chance Ladies Book Club, was about a group of seniors in a seniors complex who find that one of their neighbors has been accused of child molesting, and so that whole scenario, and they think he's guilty. So what do you do when you find your next door neighbor? Anyway, that's another book.
Okay. Well, that's.
But and then of course the Holocaust is entirely evil, and so my next book is from the point of view of someone who commits a crime.
Sort of like Raskolnikov or whatever that guy's name was from Crime and Punishment. So. Not quite. This one is a lot like. Not to compare that at all, but even from my previous books, this is a lighter novel. Gotcha.
And I'm just having fun with it. So
good. That's a great
kind
way.
of a crime novel.
Yeah, have fun with it. So, what are your thoughts on self-publishing, which seems to be about the only or one of the few avenues left for a lot of writers these days, with all of the combinations and the conglomerates kind of taking over and not leaving not very few small or medium presses for a beginner to break through?
I don't know. I always think that being accepted by a real publisher for publication is so so affirming that I would find it really difficult to try to publish on my own. But on the other hand, you want to get your book out there. So I'm not sure what to say. I think every person, it suits a lot of people.
It does, and if that's what you can do, then that's what you can do, I guess.
Yes, if that's all, the only way you can get your stuff out there.
Right. So, looking back, what is the best writing advice you think that you've ever received?
Oh, that I've ever received?
Yeah.
Well, you should have asked me to think about this because previously, because well, maybe it's just to read what you want to, the type of book you want to write.
Ah, yes. Good idea. You can't write a detective story if you've never read any detective stories, I guess. Right. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good. So that's...
And if you want to publish literary novels, read the best and aim high.
Aim high. Well, you can't beat the Beatles unless you are better than the Beatles, and the only way to do that is to listen and practice. So there you go.
Right, exactly.
Is that what the major tip you would pass on then? Is read what you would like to write, and then keep at it?
Yes, certainly.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
Okay, yep. Marlis Wesseler, the book is The Beech Forest. It's been a joy, but I've got one more question to ask you. Tell me, I was intrigued by one of your previous titles, Elvis Unplugged. So. Oh,
that's actually one of my favorites, too. It's about a woman whose father has just died in the hospital, and his roommate, I think it was his, or maybe she was just in another room. Anyway, it's this man in a coma who, for some reason, she thinks might be Elvis.
Wow.
And so she, and at the time, this was the 90s when they were, I got the idea because I saw in an article that someone's sick parent who was also in a coma had been moved from one hospital to another around Saskatchewan because they just didn't have room. So this is what happens to her, to the character she thinks might be Elvis. He doesn't have any family come to visit, so she sits with him, and then he's moved from one hospital in Saskatchewan to another. Anyway, it's a quirky little novel, and I'm quite proud of it. So,
so that's
pick it up if you can. It's still out in the library.
Hey, Elvis Unplugged and other books by Marlis Wesseler. The latest one is The Beech Forest. So as one of your characters says in the book, ja, sehr gut. So thank you for being with us today.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.